Welcome back to Boston has entered the chat. George Balekji, Lucy Burdge here with you guys. All right, the Red Sox dropped their weekend series against the Giants, winning Game 1 7-5 and losing 3-2 on Saturday, 9-5 on Sunday. Rafael Devers did hit his first home run as a San Francisco Giant on Saturday in that 3-2 win, had 2 RBI in that game. The 9-5 loss, we saw Lucas Giolito do his thing. Bullpen couldn't pull through. Bigger picture for the Red Sox, still above 500, still well in that wild card race. This is something where you don't want to see them drop any series. They need to continue to fight and create a cushion and get out of that third wild card spot and just be in the thick of it and also in their division race. You have to know and you have to assume they look forward to finally putting this week behind them. Rafael Devers' trade goes down last Sunday. We all know they were facing the Giants the following weekend. There are all the questions they had to face. Rafael Devers facing questions as well beyond his introductory presser. But now that's behind him, all the distractions that comes with it. They can move on. It's a series at Anaheim, and they're done with the Rafael Devers saga in Boston for now. We're still going to track how he does for San Fran. We're still going to track how the Giants do, and we're still going to track, of course, the Red Sox getting back to the postseason first time since 2021. But you know that clubhouse is looking forward to putting it all behind them.
Oh, 100% they are, because how awkward that must have been for that trade to happen while they are literally on the plane to fly out west, trading Devers to a team that they're just about to play. Like, they are flying there right now to start a road trip that includes playing the team that Devers now plays for. So this had to have been awkward. The anticipation, though, you could see that they were amped up to play the Giants, to play Devers. And you start to, as this series began, get kind of more context and more pieces started coming out about how players and the team and the front office really felt about Devers and about this situation. And I think it showed on the field. It showed in Alex Cora's face for a lot of the first game, where he was thrilled to beat Devers and to beat the Giants, even though they said, you know, we're just going to play the game. We are, you know, our team, we're professionals. We're going to just play the game. They wanted that win, and they got it. But not in the series, and I think that putting this behind them is going to be great. And I think the vibes and the energy have already started to shift, and the messaging to especially the younger players, I think is changing, where it's not acceptable to say, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do what's best for the team. And that's what the front office in the press conference that Craig Breslow and Sam Kennedy held, they emphasized that, and they said that we want to create a clubhouse atmosphere where bringing up the younger guys, saying we are a team. We put the team above the individual, and Devers wasn't doing that. This had to happen, and now they can just dust it off, move forward, get out of now Devers' new home region, new coast for Devers, and just move forward and forget about it, put it behind them, because that's really tough to do when you are literally facing the guy and you are playing against him. And it did look weird at first. It did look kind of like a Savannah Bananas thing, where like he's wearing a different uniform. That's really weird. And we can get over that, and that will fade, and they can move forward without Devers and without that dark cloud around them. And I think they've started to do that. The messaging to what the players are saying really indicates that, where we are one team, we are a group of guys who's going to do what is best for the team. And Devers was bringing that down. And now Devers it's like comedy, George. This is like comedy, where Devers is suddenly like, oh, I'm going to do what's best I'll play wherever. I'll play wherever for the Giants. I love San Francisco. I love them to give 100%.
Those guys are the ones in charge. I'll do whatever they want me to do.
So if you are his former teammate, if you are a Red Sox player, seeing that, hearing that, you have to be so angry. And some good riddance
if you're anyone with the Red Sox, if you're Craig Breslow, if you're Alex Cora, because he even had the quote too. He was like, I would say I put up good numbers in Boston. I think I do feel that I've earned some respect. If they would have asked me at the beginning of spring training, yes, I would have played. And he's talking about first base there. They did talk to him. They bring in Alex Bregman, who is a bat that protects him in the lineup, better defenseman, better defender at third base, upgrades his team overall for the same guy that demanded the front office go out and make the roster better around them. He said, hey, I like the lineup, but we need more pitching. We need more bats. And they go out and do that. For him to say this, look, he may not like how it went down with Alex Bregman. And look, if they're saying, hey, you're our third base, and there's reports coming out about Bregman, they go, no, those are false. And then he shows up, and all of a sudden, he's taking reps. I understand getting frustrated with that. The respect you earn is you want transparency, and you want them to loop you in. Hey, he's going to be first. All right, cool. He's going to be third. All right, cool. Where do you see me? First, DH, let me prepare for that and go with the plan. Let me try and figure that out myself. I understand that, but for him to say that, if they asked me in spring training, they did. Going back to spring training, it was reported. They said, hey, still take reps at third. We want you to start taking reps at first. And he said no to that, and he pushed back. He pushed back against being a DH. They're ready to put it all behind them.
Yeah, he just wasn't happy here, I think, is what it boiled down to. And I'm happy here in that I think the messaging, he thought he was being treated unfairly. He thought he was being disrespected. And you think back to that initial spring training when he media meeting, when he was talking to the media, and he just kept saying, like, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. And immediately following that, Alex Cora has to, with no preparation or like thinking about what he just said, have to go face the media and answer questions about what Devers just said. And I don't think Cora appreciated that, which he shouldn't. And he handled it like a pro. But I think Devers put him in a really tough spot. And from that moment, you thought this is not going to end super well if they can't smooth this over. And as the front office said, they used the word alignment, and we could not find alignment with Rafael Devers. And that's what it just boils down to, is they couldn't find a common ground on what the future would be for him or what the messaging would be or what he will be doing. And he just had to go. Like, it's just best to part ways at certain points. It's just best to part ways and start fresh. Each side start fresh, and that's what's happening here, and that's what will happen and continue to happen through the Angels series, through the rest of the season. It's just for the best in the end.
They're putting it behind them. They won 4 series coming into this weekend facing the Giants. They came off taking 2 or 3 against the Mariners, and they drop it. But that's the first time they've dropped a series in 5 straight. And that's including them sweeping the Yankees, taking 5 of their last 6, matching up with the team that leads the AL East as well. They have the pieces. It's again where we need to see the bats wake up. They win 7-5 to start the series. You think they're showing up. Then they lose 3-2. And they went back to their level. Lose 9-5. You just want to see that around 5 runs scored. What can they do at that point? But this is a team that the bats aren't consistent. The bullpen didn't get the job done, even though Lucas Giolito, again, gem after gem when he gets on the bump. And this is still a lineup that needs to figure itself out. Christian Campbell, option down to Worcester, and still taking reps at first base before the game. All right, David Hamilton goes to second. How does the rest of it look? Had a couple errors. We see Jaron Duran, Romy Gonzalez out there in shallow left field. Miscommunication happening, a ball dropping. We see Jaron Duran with his slumping bat in the month of June. .213 batting average, almost a .650 OPS. This is a lineup top to bottom that has to figure it out. This is a team overall that has to figure it out. But that's, again, I wanted to see them do it consistently, and they did. They did it against the Yankees. They've done it against the Mariners. They did it against the Rays. They were playing consistent winning baseball. I'm not going to overreact to one drop series, but again, it's the big picture as a complete team. What can they do? And in the month of June, still above 500, right in the wild card race, and just a week left this month. Then they get into July, and that approaches the trade deadline. That's when they have to make ground and give the front office a reason to buy.
Yeah, and I think if they had robot umpires, they might have won the game yesterday because that.
A call on second.
Insane, George. I couldn't sleep last night.
It goes to review, and you can see.
What is the point?
That's the one.
What is the point of reviewing plays
if don't want to be wrong?
If
it's ego.
Exactly. And so he was so safe. If you just freeze frame that where his finger was on the bag and the glove was not on his hand, he was as safe as you can be. What's the point of replay then? So that made me very angry. So who knows how the series could have gone in the end. But it could have turned the whole thing around. So that's little things like that. If they can avoid those or unlucky breaks happening or, change their luck maybe around, then maybe they could have won more games throughout that series. But going forward, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, it was 8-5 at that point, so say he's safe at second.
Who
that
knows
means
what could happen?
Tying runs on deck, right? Jaron Duran on second is what you want. A simple single, you put it deep enough in the outfield, he's scoring on that. I think back even to the Abraham Toro called out going off the base path as he was sprinting for home, literally leapt over the catcher's mitt. He didn't really move his line that he was running on. Like, he stayed within where he was, right on the edge of the grass and the infield dirt, and just made an athletic play. It's calls like that where that was a 2-1 game at that point, would have been tied at 2. Maybe that changes the whole thing. Still, that's Justin Wilson struggling on the bump. Greg Weisser doing as good as he can. The bullpen still needs additions because Chapman's been great whenever they call on him. Go back to the series opening strikeout on Rafael Devers.
Oh,
that's the big moment.
Amazing.
And gets a save, right? Yeah. And just steps up wherever they need him to pitch. He doesn't care if it's a save opportunity or not. Just do they need 3 big outs, and he goes out and does that for them. This is a team that, with the rotation, no Crochet in this series because he pitched right before, but he goes out and does his thing. Can they continue to make that happen? We see him do it. It's getting the stopper on the bump and crochet. It's getting more from the rotation. Bayo and Giolito are still really good. And it's seeing the bullpen show up. That's where the Red Sox need to see their return, where dividends need to be paid at that point.
Absolutely. And going back to Devers for a second, David Ortiz has unleashed all of his communication.
Oh my gosh.
With Rafael Devers.
Showing screenshots.
Showing he did everything he could to hold this guy together.
Second one, the paragraph.
Look how sad. Imagine leaving David Ortiz on red.
Couldn't be me.
Couldn't be me. Literally was about to just
me.
say that. Could not be me. Like, look at that. He's like, hey, look at the video call not answered. You get a video call from David Ortiz, you answer that call. That's where you know, the end. The end. Devers is gone once you see that because he is not communicating with David Ortiz, who's trying to help him. He is not accepting the help. He thought he was above it.
Yeah.
He was done with it. So I don't know how, after seeing things like that, a Devers trade doesn't happen, or just unload him for nothing. So just take him, please. We'll leave him, just leave him on the West Coast. Hey, Devers, the plane leaves at this time, and then they leave earlier. Like, it's get out of here. Go.
We see as he's making his debut in San Fran,
God.
you know, he's buddying up. He's right next to Barry Bonds, talking baseball with him.
He's so happy.
All right, how long until he leaves Barry Bonds on red? He's the greatest hitter to ever play the game. David Ortiz, most clutch playoff hitter in the history of baseball. Barry Bonds, the greatest hitter in the history of baseball. And that's likely David Ortiz not even reaching out, giving tips on hitting, just tips on, hey, man, this is how you navigate it. You're not paid. You're the face of the franchise, whether you want it or not. You're young. But these are the responsibilities that come with it. Even if you don't want to be a leader, this is what you have to do. It's just ongoing. We've seen the quotes from Ortiz. We've seen him publicly say that, you know, it was, and he said, too, he's like, it wasn't always perfect when I was in Boston. But you have to eventually mature and own up to what your role is. And then you see him showing the screenshots on Instagram Live. I mean, that's Ortiz saying, look, man, I'm not lying. This guy didn't want my help. Good luck in San Francisco. And that's what it feels like now in Boston. Good luck in San Francisco. If you're going to deny a legend of the game, not just the Boston Red Sox, but an absolute legend of baseball, a behemoth, a titan in David Ortiz, there's something where he could have been the next of a David Ortiz in a way, right? You'd have a lifetime contract with the ball club. You would have had streets named after you, statues built outside of Fenway. That wasn't important to him. That's fine. But at least what should be important is a game, and it just wasn't that to Rafael Devers, so it seems.
Yeah, there would have been Rafi Way, the Rafi Bridge, and now it's
whatever it could be.
Oh, Devers now. It's just yeah. So you leave David Ortiz on red, shows, I think, maturity is the word here, is lack of maturity on the part of Devers, where he did not handle this like an adult, and he was just like, no, silent treatment. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to take advice from David Ortiz on this. And I'm not going to look at the bigger picture. I'm going to think about myself and think about myself right now because I'm paid a lot of money. And so I should be treated with respect and not think about the rest of the team. So I think Ortiz was also personally probably very hurt by this and disappointed. I think he's like a disappointed father in Devers.
Disappointed big brother and anything. You just want to be a mentor. You go back to like what was going through your mind when the trade went down to now as more details come out. It makes more sense.
Oh, it makes complete sense because my initial thought was shock. To see that in writing is shock, but then thought this isn't the most shocking thing because when you think about the lead up to it and you think, oh, well, maybe they're just smoothing things over when you think back to comments that were made by Cora, by players, about Devers and like, oh, yeah, everything's great. But it wasn't great. And, you know, having the conversations that Devers had throughout the season with ownership, with the front office, really now the picture is painted of what was really going on and Devers was not communicating maturely is what seems like the case here. And so it just had to happen. Like the split had to happen. And I think the Red Sox win in this because Devers is not mature.
We'll see. And maybe he does, though. Like, maybe eventually he gets to 30. Like, he's still young when he was coming up. He came up through the system, was with this Red Sox team since he was about 14 years old, right? You get paid a lot of money. $311 million is handed to you when you're 26, 27. There's a lot of responsibility. And you never want to be a leader, and that's fine. But you still have to be a professional, especially when you're getting paid that way, and he wasn't. It's a long-term play for both the Red Sox and the Giants. How does Devers age as a DH? How does he age as a first baseman, as a player for the Giants? And does he eventually run his way out of town there? But also, what do the Red Sox do with the assets they got back, with the pitchers, with the young prospect in James Tibbs, who's a good right-handed bat, but also with this money? Does that mean a swing? Does it mean extending Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer, just like they did with a Christian Campbell, Brian Bayo, Ceddanne Rafaela? Does it mean extending those guys? And again, the long-term play. What does Kyle Harrison become? What does Jordan Hicks become for this team? What do they do with the money, and do the Red Sox get back to the postseason? They still are making that push. They're still above 500. They still need to buy in all the way because it hasn't been since 2021 they've been in the playoffs. Way too long of a drought, especially being in Boston, let alone any city. This isn't Cincinnati. This isn't Minnesota. This isn't Pittsburgh. It's Boston. The Red Sox have to make that push. We'll see long term who the winners are in this trade. But right now it's an addition by subtraction, getting them out of the clubhouse, letting them focus on baseball.